when ESO and World Bank and the Chadian government, their interest was to really quickly push forward and get to production of oil. So they really, and it was clear you have to convince the population, civil society, the parliament, and other actors that will be really helpful for the development of the country. So there was a lot of publicity. They were running around the villages, showing documentaries, and really promising development through oil exploitation. And if you look today at the villages, there's no real development. People are as poor as they have been before. This is linked to a number of problems, but one key cause of all these problems is also that there are two worlds. I mean, the world of ESO and the World Bank is a sophisticated world and on the other hand you have the traditional life of the people, and this clashed together, and the people haven't been prepared, and even people who got money for compensation, they weren't prepared how to use a lot of money at a time. Normally they had the small money coming in through agricultural activities, and now all of a sudden they got a lot of money in the hand from compensation at the time, but they couldn't really manage this money and use it so that they would improve their lives. People used it to marry a second wife, to make big parties for a week, or others just lost it. I mean, there are also a lot of illegal and really ugly practices from authorities here. Like one system is you get compensation, and then you have some military or gendarmes or others they notice that you have get compensation. So they arrange that they will pick you, and once you get to the market and pay something to one of the merchants, and then the merchants would go to the gendarme and say, well, I have got a counterfeit, and then the police will go and arrest the guy and take all the compensation money. Another practice is that people get compensated, and then you have the chiefs, traditional chiefs and sub-prefects and other authorities. They say, okay, once you are compensated, we are here and we take 10%. At the end of the day, they would have lost their fields, and so the agricultural production would go down, and the compensation money they should have invested in some other activities in order to replace the loss of the agricultures. They didn't manage. There was no really guidance for it. There's also lack of opportunities, because we are in a rural area. There's no industry. There are no jobs. So it's not so difficult it's really difficult also for people to replace agriculture as a main source of income, because there are no other opportunities. That's just a small example, but that impacted on the life of the people. Then you have, so many people come during the construction phase, a lot of people coming in, a lot of workers from all around Africa. Was a lot of prostitutes coming, HIV/AIDS was spreading. People, especially young people in the villages, they have seen all those sophisticated installations. They said, well, my father is a farmer, I don't want to be a farmer. I see this, I want to be something else. So they left the towns, but they don't find jobs anywhere else. And so, and a number of other issues contributed that the traditional social cohesion in the village is not existing anymore, and that's I feel one of the biggest problems. The 5% of the revenue did not really contribute to development in the area. If you look around and if you look at the setup, normally there was a regional development plan, and there's also the national strategy to fight poverty. So there are two mechanisms which are quite interesting and which could orient the use of those 5%. And but this was never used. So projects were just given out like this without any coherence. You will find, if you run around, you will find schools, there's no equipment. You will find wells which are only 10 meters, but they should go down to 15 meters. because water table is at 50 meters. You will find a lot of this kind of projects. So there's no coherence, and also in the implementation it was not really logic and meaningfully executed. In principle, for the Chadian nation and also government, it's a good thing that you have also other operators coming like China and investing here, and especially like the Chinese said, okay, we invest in something which is also useful for Chad, because I mean the ESSO strategy was we need the oil in the United States, so we build a pipeline, and this means that Chad has a big problem of energy. They need to have fuel, but they don't get it from their own oil. So the Chinese said, well, we have a different setup. We exploit your oil, but we refine it in Chad, so you get your fuel. So in principle, I feel that's something quite interesting for the nation. If you boil it down to the population, there's no difference. I mean, the people living here, although there was a better project design through all the advocacy work and also the implication of the World Bank, if you look today at the life of the people, this has not changed. And I mean, that's the same in the Chinese area. So when you boil it down at this way, there's not really a difference.